Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to work on diving a little bit deeper into some positional breath work, specifically related to the Shin box position. I'm working with clients at this level, the more we're kind of getting some pretty profound impacts and results in pain, largely in just being able to rebuild the core from the inside out. So I'm kind of focusing a lot more of our teaching work at that breath level. I want to be real clear again, working on breath. I'm not going into this is spiritualism. There are ties to our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems that can provoke any kind of emotions that might be underlying, especially if you tend to be if you're experiencing heightened anxiety. So I want to be soft with our breath. We're not going full deep breath. We're not doing breath work for the sake of breath work. Really what we're working on are particular positions, and can I breathe and feel a full expansion of breath in each position. And if you're feeling difficulty with that, then we're being playful and exploratory. Can we explore our breath? Can we just be playful with our breath? Can we feel our breath change and expand and get a little bit more pliable and flexible with us? So let's kind of consider it more of a soft journey and not like a hard ego journey. So with all that, let's get started. So we're going to start in our standing position going into crocodile breath right off the bat. So making two big C-shaped hands, finding that space below the last rib and above the hip bone in that soft, meaty space around the abdominal core. Index fingers are pressing into the abdomen. Side of the palm is pressing into the side body space, and our thumbs are pressing into the low back. We're going to inhale in through our nose, find a nice, comfortable, solid stance through both feet. If you need to, if you find balance is an issue, it's okay to sit through this part. We're going to inhale in through our nose, and we're breathing like a crocodile or a balloon. I want to expand in all directions, breathing forward into the belly, out through the side body, and into that low back space. As you exhale, we're going to draw navel in and up into the spine. And as you exhale, squeeze your hands a little bit more so that you feel that kind of soft clamp to give yourself some resistance for your inhale to expand into. So nice exhale, drawing navel in, and then expanding. Feeling the back expand into the thumb, the side body expanding into the side palm, as well as the abdominals, breathing into that index finger. And we'll get a good 5 to 10 full breaths, or building into a full breath. Each one, see if you can expand a little bit further. And start to take notice of where does it feel difficult to get that breath to move into. Does it move better to the front than it does to the back and the sides? Does it breathe more into one side and less into the other side? You may notice that you breathe better into the front of your left and not so well into the low back or side body on the right. That's actually what I'm experiencing at the moment, largely based to having multiple knee surgeries and having an unstable knee. This area of my core tends to stay tight and restricted to create tension in my leg. So I want to feel those areas where I have difficulty breathing into. And if you're feeling a spot that just doesn't want to move well, you can use your thumb or your palm and kind of stimulate that area as you exhale, and then inhale and try to breathe into that specific area a little bit more, kind of like shining a spotlight with your inhale and seeing if you can get that area to expand. We'll go ahead and let our hands soften down. we're going to grab a staff and we're going to go through some shoulder and neck mobility. Starting with the staff in front, we're going to get a nice grip, shoulder width apart. We're going to imagine that we're trying to bend or break the staff in two. That bend is happening not just at the wrist, but also at the elbows. So we want to feel those elbows spiraling upwards, elbow pits spiraling upwards towards the ceiling. And I also want to feel that at the shoulder blade, feeling the shoulder blade pack down on the back, like you're moving your shoulder blades into your hip. And then we're going to get a little bit of a scoop in the pelvis so that we keep our core engaged. And we're going to take our nice big belly breaths, diaphragmatic breath, bringing in that crocodile breath, expanding, drawing navel into spine. On the next inhale, as you exhale, we're bringing elbows up slowly towards the ears. Again, draw the navel in as you bring the elbows back. From here, we're going to inhale into our crocodile breath, exhale, drawing navel to spine, and squeeze the elbows a little further back. As you inhale, elbows can soften forward, exhale, squeeze. I want to avoid craning the neck forward as you pull the elbows back. Try to maintain as much height in the spine as you can. Nice full inhale. Exhale, squeeze. And we'll do 5 up to 10 reps with each one, seeing if you can softly squeeze a little further back. Can you pull those elbows a little bit more back towards the ears without going into pain? I don't want to be forceful here. I want to stay soft. On the last one, as we pull the elbows back, we're going to kind of keep it in that space. And now we're going to lift shoulders up towards the ceiling and draw the shoulder blades back down. Exhale as you reach, drawing the navel in. Inhale as you draw the shoulder blades down and back. Again, continuing to maintain that crocodile breath, trying to expand in through all directions through that lower abdominal core. On the next one, as you reach up, we're going to stay elevated. And as you exhale, we're drawing the elbows back again. Again, navel comes to spine as you squeeze. Inhale, let the elbows come forward. Exhale, squeeze. Since we have the shoulders elevated high, this should give you a little bit more range of motion of the elbows. And again, I want to stay light, not forceful here. And then we'll let our arms come back down. We're going to move the staff to behind our back. Palms are facing backwards. Actively reaching down through the elbows and continuing to bend the staff, but we're bending it away from the body. Feel that nice opening up through the chest. From here, getting back into our crocodile breath, inhale, exhale as we draw navel into spine, and we're lifting and squeezing elbows up towards the ceiling. Inhale, let the elbows soften. Exhale, squeeze. And with each one, we're seeing if we can lightly squeeze a little higher. After about 5 of these, we can bend a little bit at the waist and continue to lift and squeeze elbows up. That might give you a little bit more range of motion. And if you want a little bit more cueing, if this feels like you got a little bit more room to go, as you lift the elbows up, reach the sternum forward and feel that chest open up and expand a little bit more. Continuing to breathe into our crocodile breath, drawing navel into spine on the exhale. And then we're going to spiral our hands to the opposite direction. Palms are now facing forward. We'll straighten out the hips. And we're going to do the same thing. Nice breath into our crocodile breathing. Exhale, drawing navel to spine as you squeeze the elbows up towards the ceiling. After about 4 or 5, we're going to bend at the waist. Nice full breath in. Exhale, squeeze a little higher. Again, reach, if you can, reach the sternum forward and feel that chest opening up. On the last one, we're going to let our arms drop back down, but we're keeping our hands on the staff behind our back. And we're coming back up to upright, straightening out the hips. And I want to actively reach downward through the hands. I want to keep the shoulder blades pressed down across the back. And we're going to do some neck mobility from this position. Now again, we're standing here, and if you find that dizziness, if you're feeling lightheaded, or if turning your head in a standing position tends to cause the room to spin, grab a chair and sit down. We're going to go through some neck mobility, which can definitely stimulate some vestibular response. So I want to be careful about that. If you need to sit, sitting is fine. With our arms reaching straight down, getting nice and tall through the spine. We're going to inhale at the center, exhale as you check your blind spot. Looking over your right shoulder. Inhale as you bring it back to center. Exhale as you look over your left shoulder. Going nice and slow with our breath. Again, if you're feeling lightheaded or dizzy or the room spinning, then sit down to go through these movements. I want to prevent any kind of fall risk. As we're turning the head, turn and reach from your chin. You're trying to see how far can you get your chin over the shoulder. I don't want to turn from the top of the forehead or from the cheekbones because that tends to tilt the head. So I want to feel that head stay nice and tall and squeeze at the chin over that shoulder as you exhale. Inhale to center, exhale to the other side. Notice the difference of how it feels on the left side compared to the right. And we'll come back into center, again, kind of checking in to make sure that we're not dizzy. And we're going to get into our windshield wipers. Light head tilt, and then we're reaching with the opposite ear, like we're trying to reach up towards the ceiling. Make sure that we're continuing to reach down through the shoulders. I don't want those shoulders to start to shrug up. So head tilts, exhale as you lift. Inhale as you bring your head to center. Exhale as you go to the other side to lift. As you're lifting through that ear, actively reach down through both shoulders, like you're trying to reach your hands, that you're trying to push that staff towards the ground. Nice inhale, filling up that belt, that crocodile's breath. Exhale, drawing navel into spine as you lift and reach. Again, notice the difference of the right side compared to the left side. Next, we're going to bring it back to center, and we're going to get into our chin, extending the chin out and tucking the chin. So as you're reaching down, inhale as we pull the chin in, exhale as we reach the chin away. I don't want to drop the head to pack the chin. I want to draw that chin straight forward. So eyes should be able to stay on a fixed point on the horizon as you reach the chin out and draw the chin back. And then the last thing we'll do is a little bit of shallow neck rolls. So again, if dizziness is a factor, pull out the chair and sit down. Dropping the chin down towards the chest. We're going to lightly roll right ear to the right shoulder. Then we're going to let our eyes go up to the ceiling. And then the left ear is going to come to the left shoulder, and then chin back down to chest. We're going to keep moving through those 4 points and slowly start to smooth them out. Continuing to fill in our crocodile breath. Exhale, drawing navel to spine. After doing about 5 to 10 circles in one direction, we're going to reverse directions. And again, stay shallow to start with. Focus on that nice, smooth crocodile breath. I want this to be non-painful. Notice if there's any crackliness, any clunkiness. How smooth is that circle in all directions? Is there one area where it feels a little more clunky and sensitive than the others? And we're going to set our staff off to the side, and we're going to get down onto the floor into our quadruped position. Spreading fingers out nice and wide, grounding palms, tucking the toes, the big toe specifically, in the back. And we're going to come back and refocus on our crocodile breath from this position. Nice inhale into that belly space, also filling in the low back and the side body. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. And after you take a few breaths, start to notice how your pelvis, specifically your sacrum and tailbone, tend to rock on the inhale and exhale. As we're inhaling, the pelvis should kind of tilt down towards the floor. As we exhale, drawing that navel in, we're going to get a light scoop of the tailbone towards the floor. Allow that movement to happen, and you can even accentuate it. Fill in a little bit more into the belly space, feeling the low back go into more of a sway. I want to avoid any kind of pinch or discomfort, but we're filling in. That crocodile breath is going to move more into the front and less into the low back. As we exhale, feel that scoop. Allow that scoop to happen and see if you start to feel a little stretch into that low back. I don't want to move in our upper back. So as we're scooping, I don't want to round the upper back. I just want to keep it nice and still for now. The main thing we're focusing on at the moment is allowing that tilt of the pelvis forward and that scoop on the exhale. Try to connect that breath to the movements of your pelvis. And I want to continue that movement through the pelvis with our breath, but at the same time, we're going to start to get into our wrist. So as we inhale, our hips are back. As we exhale, we're going to rock forward as we scoop our pelvis into it, loading into the wrist. Inhale, letting our hips rock back as we fill in our belly. Pelvis is tilting down towards the floor. Exhale, scoop as we load into the wrist. Notice how does the right wrist feel compared to the left wrist. There's a lot of things going on at the same time. So just have a general scan of the body, noticing the hips, noticing your breath, and noticing the wrists. Now we're going to turn fingers out to the side, and we're going to move side to side. Exhale as you reach to over one wrist. Inhale, coming back to center. filling in our belly space. Pelvis is tilting forward. Exhale as we go to the other side, scooping the pelvis as we draw that navel in. Inhale as we come back to center. So as I'm going side to side, I am still continuing to move my pelvis, inhale to exhale. So as I exhale, I'm scooping as I rock over my left wrist. Inhale, pelvis is tilting down towards the floor, belly is opening up. Exhale, scoop as I rock to the other side. Again, I'm adding in a number of components to this movement, which is going to make it a little more difficult to maintain and might feel confusing. Some of that is kind of the point. So try to let go of as much thinking and just feel your way into it. Some of these cues are, they make more sense the more often you work on it. So working on these things on a daily basis will make them a little easier to navigate. Next, we're going to turn fingers all the way back towards the knees, bringing the hands in a little closer to the knees. Doing the exact same thing with the pelvis. Inhale, exhale, scoop as we rock backwards. Inhale, filling up that belly as we rock forward. See if you can continue with that pelvic mobility and lumbar mobility at the same time that we're working in our wrist mobility. And then we're going to flip our palms upside down to the back side of the palms. Elbows are bent. Inhale, allowing the pelvis to tilt forward. Exhale, as you scoop, you're extending the elbows. And we're feeling into that elbow space to see if there is a stretch. If there is, I want to lightly move into that stretch, extending the elbows as much as you can at the same time that you're lightly scooping the pelvis on your exhale. Inhale, elbows bend a little bit to soften as you're filling in that belly space. Exhale, drawing navel to spine as you lightly press into the floor and reach away. We'll come off the wrists, roll them out a little bit. Now we're going to come right back into that quadruped position. Tucking the back toes again, making sure the big toes are loaded and heels are closer together. I'm pointing the heels as close as possible so that only the big toe is on the ground. Inhale, filling up our belly, pelvis tilts down towards the floor. Exhale, drawing navel to spine as we scoop. And feel the hips roll, load back into the heels. Inhale, coming forward, belly opens up towards the floor. Exhale, draw navel into the spine as you scoop. You can even get a little press through the palms and feel your shoulder blades get a little stretch. Feel the shoulders roll round over the rib cage. Can you get some stretch in your upper back? Inhale as we rock forward, filling in that belly space. Exhale, scoop as you press away. Notice how does this feel on the big toes? Compare that right big toe to the left big toe. Does one side feel a little stiffer, tighter, more sensitive? Is it painful? If it's painful, I want to back off. Don't push quite so far. On the next one, as you come up, we're going to reorient our feet, turning the heels out so that you're tucked underneath as much as you can towards the pinky toes. If you can't get your pinky toes tucked underneath, get as close as you can. This is something we want to work on in order to have a little bit more mobility in the feet. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Inhale, filling up that belly, pelvis is tilted towards the floor. Exhale, drawing navel to spine as the hips sink back to the heels, scooping the pelvis. Inhale, bringing it all forward. Exhale, pressing as we rock back. This may give you a lot of sensations in the body, so just kind of have a general scan. If there's any areas I want to really pay attention to, it's going to be the outside arches of the feet. How does the right side feel compared to the left side? Is one side a little tighter? And then another area is the low back. Are you getting some good mobility? Is there a light stretch in that low back as you sink back hips to heels and scoop that pelvis? Then we're going to come back up to center. Again, keeping our hands, fingers spread and elbows lightly extended. I want to come right back into our belly breath, feeling that pelvis move towards the floor. Exhale, drawing navel to spine. And now as we scoop, we're going to continue to scoop. And I want to feel that movement go up the spine. And as it moves up the spine, we're going to press through our hands, reaching and extending, getting nice and rounded through the upper back. And then allowing that movement to go over the top of the head. We're going to try to touch our tailbone and our forehead at this imaginary point right in the middle as we fully exhale, drawing that navel up into spine. And then as we inhale, that's drawing the belly down to the floor. Feel the pelvis move towards the floor. It's going to move up the spine. The chest is going, and sternum will move to the floor, and the head will come up last. Exhale, draw the navel in, scoop at the pelvis, and feel that movement go up the spine, press through the palms, try to touch tailbone and forehead at that imaginary point as you're exhaling, drawing navel to spine. Try to allow your breath to dictate the range of motion of the movement. We're moving with our breath. It's not movement and breath happening one at a time together. The breath is the movement. The movement comes through the breath. And being able to make that connection of breath and movement neurologically can take time. It may feel really, really difficult to do. We'll go ahead and come off our wrists and take a little bit of a break and move into our shin box position. If that felt really confusing and disjointed and you found that you were in your head, all that really says is that these are new and it's not really in your neurology, and it simply takes time and practice. If you work on it every day a little bit, you will find that over time, you're able to make those connections. The things that I'm saying in the class you'll start to feel it within your body, but you can't get there without the practice. So from our shin box, I'm on my left side shin box. I'm bringing my left hand down to the floor. We're going to spiral that elbow out so that we feel the shoulder blade pack down the back and opening up through the chest, kind of lifting the chest kind of tall. And we're going to come right back to our breath. However, because of the position of our shin box, our outside breath is going to be a little bit harder to move into. So my right side low back area, this is going to be harder to breathe into. The open space is going to be on the left side since my left hand is down. So I want to focus specifically on that left side. We're going to bring our right hand across that midsection where we were putting our C-shaped hands and just give it a light touch. because that's where we want to breathe, specifically breathe into on our inhale. So from here, we're going to inhale, feeling that crocodile breath specifically move through that left side. On the exhale, drawing navel into spine. Feel how that gets us a little bit tall. Inhale, as you fill in that side space, allow it to move your spine. Your spine will go a little bit of a curve. You'll get a small C shape. On the inhale, exhale, drawing navel into spine. I want to remain very active through that shoulder. Shoulder is still pressing down through that grounded palm. Sternum is still lifting up, even though our spine is softening through this midsection. On our inhale, exhale, spine is getting long. We can move our spine, we can soften our spine and engage our spine while maintaining a fixed, active shoulder. With each inhale, see if you can find a little bit of stretch in that inhale, filling in that space, and then exhale, drawing that navel into spine, getting nice and tall. And then we're going to switch and do the same thing on the other side. So palm grounded, spiral, elbow outward, open chest, feeling that shoulder blade pack down and back on the ribs. Opposite hand gets to come and finds that side body space. I'm just giving a gentle brush to let my body know where I want that breath to actively move into. Inhale into that side body, into that side. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. With each inhale, we're allowing the spine to kind of soften towards the floor, getting a little bit of a C shape. It doesn't need to be a massive C. And then on the exhale, navel comes into spine, and that straightens the spine out. Now, right off the bat, this side is tighter and more restricted. I noticed that at the beginning of the session when we were doing breath work at the very beginning. This is kind of tends to be my chronic area. So I want to notice the differences in our breath one side to the other, because this is going to give us a lot of really helpful information about how our abdominal core is able to stabilize for other areas of the body, which becomes pretty relevant when we are in pain. With each one, see if you can move that inhale to get a little bit more of a stretch into that side body space. Exhale, draw that navel in actively to get that spine back to tall. Again, keep that shoulder active, spiraled out, pressing down. Even when we're inhaling into that side body space, I don't want to let my shoulder get soft. I'm still pressing down actively. We can soften our spine with a very active shoulder. We can do two things at once. The more active I am in the shoulder, the bigger the more of a stretch, active stretch I can feel on my inhale, and it feels pretty good. We're going to switch back to the other side. Getting right back into that wrist, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder. Inhaling into that side body space, exhaling, drawing navel into spine. On the next inhale, as you soften, as you exhale, we're going to do some hip mobility on that back knee. So as you exhale, we're going to lift that back knee up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, drawing navel into spine. Inhale, filling up that belly as you drop your knee down. Exhale, navel comes to spine as you're lifting and opening that knee to the ceiling. Again, I want to maintain an actively grounded shoulder. So don't let that shoulder get soft and lazy. We're still pressing down through that floor actively. Softening the spine, exhale, open up that hip. Notice how high you're able to get that knee to open up so that we can compare. How good is that hip mobility on the right side compared to the left? And we'll go ahead and switch sides so that we can check. So grounding palm, spiral elbow, open chest, pack shoulder. Inhale into that side body space. Exhale, navel into spine. And on the next one, as we inhale, when you exhale, we're opening up that back hip. Nice squeeze as you draw navel in. Inhale, filling up that side body space. Exhale, open up that hip, drawing navel in. How high are you getting that left knee compared to your right knee? Is there a difference? Really helpful information. If there's a significant difference, then this is a movement that I would recommend doing more frequently. Daily, if not multiple times a day. Especially if you're feeling immobility in that hip with immobility of that breath on the opposite side. That is going to be a paired action that we want to work on. We're going to bring it back across to the other side. Grounding palm, grounded shoulder, filling in that belly space. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. And now we're going to add in our scoops of our pelvis. This is that anterior hip. So the back hip is going to roll over the front hip over the top, so it has to come up off the ground. And I want to scoop the tailbone. I'm reaching my tailbone forward. I want to feel this scooping action as I draw navel into spine to see if you can feel some light stretch through the front of the hip. Inhale, let the hips soften. As we soften into that belly space, exhale, navel comes into spine as we get tall and we're scooping our pelvis into it. Inhale, fill up that side space. Feel that expansion out through the side. Exhale, drawing navel in, getting tall as we scoop. How does that stretch feel in the front of the hip? And really, the more you're able to scoop at your pelvis, the more you may feel that glute start to tighten up and contract. I want to feel that. I don't want to intentionally squeeze the glute, but I do want that movement of the tailbone to create contraction in that glute. And the more you can push that tailbone forward, the more you're going to feel that contraction. We'll go ahead and switch back to the other side. Again, grounded palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder. Inhale through that side body. Exhale, navel into spine, getting us nice and tall. Next one, as we inhale into the side, on the exhale, we're rolling the hip over the top of the other one and scooping with the tailbone, reaching, trying to scoop that tailbone forward as we're drawing navel into spine. Inhale, spine softens as we expand through that side body, and the hip softens back. Exhale, spine gets tall, navel's a spine, scoop the pelvis. How does the front of this hip feel compared to the other side? This side is tighter on me, especially through my adductor space, which is kind of another, again, this is a paired relationship to my right side low back. I want to notice those differences because that gives me a lot of information as far as how my body stabilizes me with gait mechanics, walking, running, jumping, crawling, all kinds of stuff. And if I got a major difference one side to the other, that's going to show up in every other movement that I do. So it's a great place to work on balancing the body at the layer of our breath. Work on expanding on that inhale. Feel that stretch out through the side. Exhale, drawing navel to spine as you scoop. Can you feel that loaded stretch through the front of the hip? Can you start to feel that glute tighten up and contract by squeezing that tailbone forward? And then we're going to switch back to the other side. We're going to do all the same things, and then we're going to add one more layer to it. So still letting that back hip roll. Inhale into that side, exhale, drawing navel as the hip scoops. And then we're going to add a reach and a rotation. So this is the one where I like to imagine I got bread and I want to share bread with Skeletor over in the corner. So as I exhale, drawing navel into spine, scooping that back hip, then I want to also reach and get some rotation. And I want to feel that rotation added to the scoop. I don't want to lose my scoop. I'm still actively scooping into this as I reach, which should draw that stretch a little bit more into a rotational stretch through the obliques and into the core. Inhale, letting it all soften. Exhale, scoop as you draw in and reach. Again, allow your breath to dictate the movement. All of this is coming from breath. Exhale as I scoop and reach. I don't want to force my reach. I want to work within what I feel my capacity of breath. This should not be painful. I want to make sure that we are not going to maximum level of stretch. This is not high school gym class. It should not hurt. Switching to the other side, grounding palm, spiraled elbow, packed shoulder. Same inhale, exhale into that scooped pelvis. And then we're going to add to it. Inhale, let that breathe into that side body space as you exhale. Now we're sharing our bread and reaching and rotating. Inhale as you bring it back. Exhale as you scoop and rotate. Kind of notice if there's a difference on this side compared to the other side. Is it tighter somewhere? Can you reach as far? Or can you reach farther? Continuing to breathe into that side body space, allowing the spine to soften. Exhale as you actively scoop that tailbone. Again, I want to be active in that tailbone as we reach and rotate. And again, this whole side, my rotation is tighter. I have less range of motion through this whole complex of movements compared to the other side. We're going to bring it back across, and now we're going to change the position of our hand. So instead of left hand on the ground, we're going to bring our left hand up and let that elbow or forearm come across the top of the head. I want elbow up kind of high. And we're going to take our opposite hand, and we're going to just, again, tap that side body space for where we want to breathe. So now my position, since I'm lifting that hand off the ground, I'm making it harder to breathe into this opposite side, and I'm still focusing the breath on the same side. This is where that breath can go a little bit easier. So that's why I got my hand here. We're inhaling, filling into that belly space. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. On that inhale, the spine can continue to soften and round and get a little C-shaped. Exhale, spine gets straight again. On the next one, as you inhale, allowing it to soften, exhale, and we're going to reach down through that hip and up through the elbow as you draw your navel into spine. Inhale, breathing into that side body space. Exhale, reaching down and reaching up to get long. There's going to be kind of two stretches on both sides of this. One, as your length gets short on your inhale, elbows coming down, so you're shortening up, you're expanding out and breathing into that side body space. See if there's a light stretch there. And then as you exhale, drawing navel to spine, you're reaching long to see if you can get a length stretch in that same area. Inhale, as you soften length, you're expanding out. Can you feel the outward expansion? On the exhale, can you feel the length expansion? There's a stretch on both ends. And then we're going to bring our arm down, switch across, and do the same thing on the other side. So elbow comes up, hand comes across to tap that side body space. See if you can inhale, inflating into that space. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. Inhale as you feel that expansion, allowing the spine to kind of soften up. And then exhale, navel comes to spine, spine gets straight again. Can you feel that stretch expansion on the inhale, pressing out? And now on the next one, as you exhale, drawing navel in, you're going to reach the hip down and lift the elbow up tall, trying to get as long as you can. On the exhale, inhale, you're letting your length soften as you expand out. And drawing in that navel on the exhale, getting long. See if you can find that stretch in that same side body area where your hand placement is. On the inhale, moving out, and on the exhale, getting long. Is it harder on this side or easier? Is there a difference between the right side and the left side? And now we're going to bring it back across to the other side. And we're going to do some fold work. And we're going to integrate breath on this as well. But I want to start by just going back and forth with some gentle forward folds. So I'm not going to be as concerned with where our fold is. We can reach through the knee or we can reach straight forward. Inhale, feel that expansion. On the exhale, we're drawing navel to the spine and we're just reaching with both hands evenly. As you inhale, we're bringing it all the way back up across, transitioning to the other side. Nice inhale, exhale as we reach, going side to side about 5 times. As we're going side to side, notice how does this feel through the back of the hip on each side. Continue to connect that breath. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. Inhale as you're coming back up, filling up our crocodile space. You can take an extra breath as you transition across. And exhale as you reach. Once we get to 5, I'm going to finish off on this side. Come back across to our starting side. And on this next one, as we exhale and reach, I don't want to go to a maximum stretch. We're going to reach and we're going to stay there. And now I want to focus our breath on filling in our low back space. So taking in a nice breath, filling in that abdominal space, feel that breath open up and expand into that low back. Exhale, drawing navel into spine. Inhale, fill up that crocodile breath, but feel it move into that back space a little bit. And then as you exhale, navel to spine, you can slightly reach your fingers a little further if they'll go. Inhale, allow the hands to softenly come back so that you can fill in that back space. Exhale, reach a little further. Again, continuing to draw navel into spine as you exhale. Inhale, feeling that crocodile inflation, that all directions, but especially into the low back. And after about 5 breaths, we're going to bring it up and across to the other side, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Drawing the navel in as we reach, making it a nice soft reach, staying here, inhaling into our crocodile breath, but really trying to get that breath to move into the low back. Exhale, drawing navel to spine. Inhale, allow the hands to softly come back. Exhale, drawing navel in, reaching a little further. Again, continuing to really try to draw that inhale breath into that low back space. Exhale, drawing the navel into the spine as you reach the fingers a little further. Notice where you feel this. Where does it speak loudest? Do you feel it in the hips? Do you feel it in the low back? And now we're going to move on to our back. And we're going to kind of reacquire our crocodile breath, making our big C shape with our hands, placing those hands beneath the ribs and above the hip bone. And we're going to get some nice crocodile breaths, filling up that space. Feel that expansion, pushing into the index fingers, into the side palms, and into the thumbs. As you exhale, drawing navel into the spine, and allow your hands to squeeze a little bit more to create a little bit more resistance. And then on the inhale, fill that space up. See if you can press your hands out with your inhale breath. Exhale, squeeze, drawing navel into spine. Once you feel like you've got that breath synced, you can let your hands drop to the side, but continue with the crocodile breath. Feel that inflation up through the belly. And I want to come back and start to feel that rhythmic movement of the pelvis with our breath. Notice as you inhale, that breath is going to rise up through the belly a little bit more. We're still expanding into the low back and out to the sides, but notice that your pelvis wants to tilt forward. And on the exhale, as you draw your navel into spine, there's some scoop. I don't want to press through the feet on this. I want all the movement to come from our core, specifically all the movement of our pelvis. So as you inflate that belly, feel the pelvis tilt forward, and you can add to it by moving more breath into the belly space. And then the more you draw that navel in, you should feel that scoop, and you can scoop through the core. The more you press your belly button, like you're trying to push your belly button into your spine and push your spine into the floor, you should feel a little bit more of that scooping action. And then I want to start to add in a little bit of press through the feet. So as you inhale, feeling belly open up towards the ceiling, we get a little bit of a sway in the back. Exhale, drawing navel into spine, pressing the spine down to the floor. Now we press into our feet, and we're going to peel the tailbone, actively scooping. Peel the sacrum off the floor. Then we're going to peel each vertebrae one at a time. But we're doing so by scooping that pelvis, that tailbone up to the ceiling. So I'm actively scooping. Feel each vertebrae one at a time all the way up until you're in a full hip press or hip drive position. And then we're going to let each vertebrae down one at a time. As we inhale, filling up our crocodile breath. At the bottom, exhale, drawing navel into spine and peeling the spine off the floor as we press at the top. Inhale, allowing each vertebrae down until we get to this nice big sway back at the bottom. Exhale, pressing all the way up. With each one at the top, try to scoop that tailbone up a little bit higher. See if you can feel some stretch through the front of the hips, and see if you can feel your glutes firing up and getting contracted. I want to actively move into as much of this stretch and as much of this contraction as possible on that exhale. Inhale, we're letting it all back down to the floor. Exhale, scooping up a little bit higher. Feel that active work through the hips. On the next one, as we get to the top, I want to maintain this position, and we're going to come back into our crocodile breath from this elevated hip drive position. We can even bring our C-shaped hands in around our mid-core. Inhale, expanding that belly out in all directions. Exhale, drawing navel to spine, and we're going to actively scoop that tailbone into it a little bit more. On the inhale, allow that scoop to soften, allow the pelvis to tilt forward. Exhale, drawing navel in, actively scoop. We're going to get pelvic tilts from this elevated position. Inhale, feel the pelvis tilt forward. Exhale, actively scoop. After about 5 or 6 breaths, you should notice your glutes really lighting up on fire. And after 5 to 6 breaths, softly allow the hips to come back down to the floor. And we're now going to lift our legs, bend our knees, pick our feet up. And we're going to kind of get into a little bit of a frog position. So knees are going to open out wide, but feet are going to stay together. I want the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot touching along the inside edge of the foot, and the knees are out shoulder width apart. We're going to put our hands on our knees and actively push our knees away, and we're going to actively pull our knees in. I want to have good tension in both directions. Press and pull. Make sure that the shoulders are remaining softly on the floor. I don't want head and shoulders rounding here. I want you laying back. If you find that it's hard to keep your head on the floor, it's okay to put a small bolster, folding up a towel or putting a wedge underneath your head so that your head has something to relax onto. So with that tension, pressing and pulling actively, I want to maintain that active tension through the core. We're going to come back into our crocodile breathing, filling up that crocodile breath. On the inhale, exhale, actively drawing the navel into the spine. Inhale, filling up that crocodile space. Exhale, navel into spine. And I'm going to add one more cue here. On your inhale, you should notice that because of this pressure, there's a lot of inner abdominal pressure on that inhale. See if you can feel the energy of that breath moving down into your pelvic floor, and feel that pelvic floor stretch a little bit, get long. Doesn't have to be a massive stretch. You're not pushing through your pelvic floor. You're allowing that inhale to move into the pelvic floor and seeing if you can feel some stretch and expansion. So again, still maintaining pull through the knees, push through the hands. Inhale, fill up that crocodile breath, but feel that movement go down into the pelvic bowl. And on the exhale, drawing navel into spine, pressing the spine into the floor. And get a good 5 to 6 full breaths in, full breaths out. And then we can let our feet back down to the floor. Go ahead and let the legs go nice and straight. And we're going to come back one more time with our crocodile breath, making our C shapes. And this time, let's just kind of notice, how does this breath feel, especially compared to the beginning of the session? Do you feel like you can expand a little bit more in all directions? Was the area that felt tight and restricted, does that move a little bit more? And if you're still noticing a little tension and restriction, again, you can add a little bit of a wiggle of your thumb or your side of your palm into that space as you exhale, and then inhale, shining a flashlight of that breath into that space to see if you can specifically get that area to move a little bit more. Then you can let your arms soften and take a few nice, soothing breaths. Full inhale, full exhale. This time, let's start to let that breath move up into the ribs, into the chest. I want to stay light with it. Let your arms soften down with your palms up, shoulders relax. You can breathe into any tension you're feeling in the chest or in the neck lightly. And on the exhale, let that tension just rinse off the body onto the floor. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and very slowly get back up. And again, as you get up, I want to be cautious around any dizziness or lightheadedness. So it's okay to sit up for a minute before you stand up.